Hey, I'm Black Dragon Biker TV. Today's question here on Instagram: do clubs handle legal fees for their members if they should get caught up, jammed up, catch a case, or in some other kind of legal situation, especially when quote unquote handling business for the club? So we're going to talk about that in just a second. Black Dragon Biker TV on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And also the Dragon's Lair Motorcycle Chaos is our podcast. So check us out. We cover all things motorcycle club related. If that kind of interests you, that kind of stuff, then make sure to give us a like and a subscribe and a follow and all those things. You can also catch our podcast, the Dragon's Lair Motorcycle Chaos. So let's jump into it. So what are club's responsibilities to the members if you should get hemmed up, catch a case, be under fire, or some sort of way legally or criminally or civilly caught up by the court system, and now you're facing it, and you're facing it big time? And the answer to that question really goes to your club's bylaws and your club's policies and standards of operation. So little clubs like mom and pop clubs, RCs, motorcycle ministries, clubs like that, traditional MCs, might not have anything set up at all. A lot of those clubs just believe that we don't have those kinds of problems and those kinds of issues. So they don't foresee a problem and they're not set up. But I have seen traditional motorcycle clubs wind up in hot water, their members wind up in hot water, just doing things like protecting themselves when somebody's trying to bully them or patch police on them or something like that, and get arrested and really be up a creek because the club hasn't looked at how to take care of a member legally if something happens to them. And a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck. They're out doing their thing, and when you get arrested and taken off the street for any length of time, you know, everything is in jeopardy, and they keep you for a week or two before they give you a bail or something, or a bond or a hearing or something like that, because you don't have any money. Because going to court is all about having money. Fighting the judicial system is all about having money. And if you ain't got none and you're sitting there in court or whatever the case may be, as the time goes by, so does like your job, so does your apartment rent that needs to be paid, and your car note that hasn't been paid. And as these things fall due, if you got out of jail a month later, you might find yourself homeless, jobless, penniless, carless, because maybe your car got picked up, and you don't even have a way to get your car out of impound. And every single day that it's in impound, it's picking up another $26 in fees. So there could be a lot going on, especially when you make these decisions to do things for the club, and the club hasn't made a decision as a club as to how it's going to take care of you should you fall into some kind of a huge problem. So these are things to think about, certainly as you endeavor to make whatever kind of move you're going to make on behalf of the club. So I challenge clubs that don't have anything going that way to at least get some sort of prepaid legal policy for your members or something, because a policy like that will at least establish some minimum baselines for protection that may not require you to come out of your pocket initially while they get something done, like maybe get you set up for bail or something. You don't know what you could be facing. So when you're in these MCs and stuff like that, there should be something for you. Now, bigger clubs will absolutely pay for members' legal services, depending on a few things. And those things would be listed in your bylaws. And I got to say this, I got to give my disclaimer up front. Everything I'm talking about works for some clubs and doesn't work for others. Some clubs consider and others don't. Some clubs have planned for it and others haven't. So some of the things that you will see... God damn, you stupid mother... The hell? Almost. Almost. My puppy's okay? Maybe I should just let it go. What's your problem, creep? So anyway, they scare you when they do stupid stuff behind the wheel. They just, they like make your heart jump and stuff. I don't know why, they just do. Gosh, I'm so mad because my whole vibe has been destroyed. I don't remember what I was talking about. So anyway, clubs should have a contingency plan, and if they don't, then they're really kind of behind the wheel. They're not doing the right things in my opinion. So a lot of the big clubs, the way they do it is they actually will have attorneys on retainer, civil attorneys, some civil rights attorneys, others, and criminal attorneys. Some will have all three on retainer, especially the big clubs that would have situations where they may find that they often have need to deal with law enforcement and attorneys and proceedings and court cases and stuff like that. You'll find that those kind of folks will have that set up already. And even clubs like mine, we've had sometimes the attorney will be a member in the club, and the attorney will be like our first member. If you saw one of my videos, one of our first honorary member we ever had was actually a member of the club, and so he did a lot of stuff for us for free just because he was a club member, and then other stuff he did at cost, helping us out as much as he could just because he was a member. But almost all of the civil stuff and incorporation papers and stuff like that he handled for free. But there's other stuff that you need where you really need an attorney, especially when you're talking about criminal liability and things like that, where you need someone that's there, and a club member attorney is often a good someone to have. Other clubs will actually have these criminal lawyers and things like that on retainer. And what happens is, retainer is where you give an attorney a certain amount of money so that when you call him, you don't need any money down, you don't need anything. He comes to represent you. And let's say you gave him a $5,000 retainer. He's going to come help you according to his hourly fee until that $5,000 is used up. Now, this happens like attorneys charge $200, $300, $400, $500, $600. The attorney, the law firm that we use for our patents and stuff like that, they're $800 an hour to $1,000 an hour. So $5,000 can go really, really quickly. So $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 retainer keeps you with a good attorney sitting there in case your club would need them, and your club would know its exposure and how much they would need someone or something like that. But another way that it's done, or another way in conjunction with the retainer, is that the clubs will also assess a tax on your dues on top of the dues that you pay to help this person out of their jam. So, for instance, if your dues are $100 a month, then maybe you have to pay another $100 a month until you get that person out of the problem that they're in. And the bigger your club is, the easier it is for it to ingest and handle some things like that. So, if you got a club of thousands of people, big, and each person is paying $100 extra in dues, you can get that attorney's fee paid off pretty darn quickly. If you got a smaller club, maybe guys are paying $500 or $600 a month extra, and that can be real tough to do. So a lot of times you really need to think before you do stupid stuff, especially in the name of your club. Think about the consequences, especially if your club doesn't have enough money to help you. And so now it's all on your family. And a lot of times the families are thinking that, they hear so much about the club and your so-called brothers, that they're thinking that your club is going to have a lot more of your back than the club actually can afford to have. So now it's looking crazy. And your family's upset because the brothers ain't doing what they're supposed to do. Now, another situation can be, well, maybe the club would have your back and they've got all this money set aside and everything is going great, but somebody sweeps in on a sweep and takes 25 of your brothers to jail overnight, or 50 or 70. So now it's damn near impossible for you to believe that the club can be there for you and have your back, because it ain't got the money. So this is something else you should be thinking about. Maybe only the top guys are going to get protected. And if you ain't one of the top guys, then you're going to have to figure out how to protect yourself. Or maybe it goes by exposure or by risk or by however your club has set it up. And sometimes when you see these guys turning on each other, and sometimes when you see these guys snitching on each other, it's not necessarily because they're snitching because they're snitches, but a lot of times it's because it's like the club doesn't have me and I better do something or I'm going to jail forever and ever. Now, a lot of guys are not, stop it. A lot of guys are not like some of these hardcore old school guys who would be like, to hell with it, I'm taking my medicine. Got to take my medicine, and that's going to be that. I'm taking my medicine, and I'm gonna spend my time in jail. Not everybody's like that. Not everybody's cut like that. Not everybody's built like that. So know who you're messing with before you get into any kind of trouble, because a lot of guys will look and say something like, they start making excuses. Well, the club doesn't have my back, so I'm not having the club's back. Well, hell, 20 of us went to jail. There's nobody's back. Club can't have everybody's back. Clubs have finite resources. So you might want to consider that, because that's real. As real as the real deal, Holyfield. Will you two stop it? Sorry about that. The little one starts, and then the big one has to follow. All right, so that's my 2 cents on that subject. I hope I've answered your question. And if you don't know, you got to ask. You got to ask your club. If you don't know, you got to get into the grits and the detail. Every club should have something set up. And you guys need to think this stuff out before you come involved with it, because we've been watching clubs go big time now. We in the news here lately, we've seen clubs that are arresting 20, 30, 50, 60 people at a time. And so that can be really tough. Anyway, I'm Black Dragon. That's my 2 cents. Catch us on Black Dragon Biker TV, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And also catch us, The Dragon's Lair Motorcycle Chaos. My books can be found at blackdragonsgear.com. The President's Bible, Motorcycle Club Leadership Principles. Chronicle 1 is my latest book. That's my 2 cents. Love to hear your 2 cents in the comment section below. Thanks for tuning in, and get skinny.